In this video, we're going to start learning how to solve equations. We're going to learn 3 different ways to solve equations. Well, technically 2, but we're going to start first with factoring. So we already know how to factor. So I'm just going to do a quick review of how to factor, and then I'm going to bring it to how to solve for x. So normally when we're factoring, we look to see how many terms there are, and then we're going to use this AC method here, where you multiply the first term by the back term, and that would be 3 times 2, which is 6. You look for your factors of positive 6. In this case, we're looking at -5, so we know that everybody's going to be negative. So the ones that match up are -2 and -3. So when we rewrite the quadratic, we replace the middle term with the -3 and the -2. And remember to continue setting it equal to 0 all the way through. So this should be pretty familiar with the squiggly line. Watch the sign. So for the first 2 terms, we look at the GCF here. The GCF is 3x, and we're left with x minus 1. For the back 2 terms, the GCF is -2, and again, we're left with x minus 1. Set that equal to 0. So our 2 factors are x minus 1 and 3x minus 2. So now that the 2 factors are set equal to 0, that means that either the first factor is 0 or the second factor is 0. So this is also known as t off, like because you make a lowercase t here. So you set each factor equal to 0 and solve the equations. So we have 2 answers. X is 2/3 or x is 1. You can only do that if you are set equal to 0, which means that we have to move the terms from the other side of the equation. So now we're left with 4x squared minus 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. So you circle your first and last term here. The 4 times -3 is -12. We're looking for our factors of -12. So we know that one of them has to be negative. And we can continue this, but we already found out that it's the 2 and the 6. Squiggly line here. The GCF between the front 2 terms and the GCF between the back 2 terms. Set it equal to 0 again. The 2 factors are 2x plus 1 and 2x minus 3. So then we're going to set these 2 factors equal to 0. So we get x equals -1/2 and x equals 3/2. Okay. This next one, same thing. Circle the front term and the back term. Multiply them together. We get 9. 1 and 9, 3 and 3. We know that we're trying to add to -6, so we have to both be negative here. So we get 9x squared minus 3x minus 3x again, plus 1. So the GCF between the front 2 terms is 3x. And the GCF between the back 2 terms is -1. And I chose -1 because I wanted the exact same binomial. Okay. So we get 3x minus 1 is 0. And again, since it's the same exact factor, you really only have to do this once. So your answer is just 1/3. And again, you can see that it's 1/3, but you don't have to circle it. Okay. For this next one, there's a couple of ways to see this. If you notice that there's no middle term for the x. So technically, there's a term of 0 in the middle. So when we multiply the front and the back, we're looking for 4 times -1. We're looking for the factors that are going to add to 0. And that would be 2 and 2. 2 and -2. Okay, so we get 2x minus 1 and 2x plus 1. So these are not the same factor, so you do have to write this 2 times because you're going to get -1/2, and you're also going to get +1/2. For number 5, you'll notice that we're not in the correct form, so we want to make sure we put this in the correct form. So in order to do that, we have to distribute and combine like terms and set it equal to 0. So we have p plus 18 is p squared minus 2p. So let's move the -p and the -18. So we get 0 is equal to p squared minus 3p minus 18. And we tried to figure out which one is going to be equal to -3. And right here we can see we're going to get -6 and +3. So that means p is +6 and p is -3. Number 6, take the 2, multiply it by the -2. So we got -1 and 4, -2 and 2. So we're looking for -3. So we can also remember that -4 times 1 will work. So we get 2x squared minus 4x plus 1x minus 2. The GCF between the front two terms is 2x. And the GCF between the back two terms is just 1. They're the same binomial. So we can tee off from here by setting both factors equal to 0. So we get x is -1/2 and x is 2.